Good Saturday morning to everybody. We mostly stayed dry thanks to Mother Nature going to the west a little bit and sparing us the monsoon we all thought would come over the last 2 nights. But hey, we'll take them when we can get them. So welcome into the 615 Prep Scoreboard. Along with Scott, Joe, and Kim, I'm Chris. We're going to go over all these Week 4 scores, throw in some highlights too, and go through our usual Saturday morning nonsense. And guys, we'll just go ahead and start talking about what we saw last night. Region play tends to bring a lot of blowouts, and I think from my count of the games that were in our area, maybe only 7 had a 8-point or less margin of victory.
Yeah, I mean, this is where teams kind of separate themselves. I mean, this is where I saw it firsthand last night with White House and Whites Creek. This is the really good contenders start separating themselves, and the teams that still have some things to work on just kind of fall to the wayside a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And, there's so many teams out there that through the first 3 weeks, as Joe said, we still have questions for sure. And then, you look, for instance, I'll just name the first one, White House. They're a team that, they lose a heartbreaker to Portland in a game where they probably outplayed Portland. And then, they have a couple other close games, one against Liberty Creek, and then they go on the road and looked really, really solid last night.
Yeah.
A lot of Thursday night games to get to, so let's just go ahead and pull the scoreboard up and get started. BGA, we'll start off with them 34-7 over Davidson Academy. Wildcats have been rolling so far through 4 weeks, and a big matchup looms for them in 6 days or 5 days time.
Yeah, next week the matchup with CPA is a preview of 2 teams that could be in the state championship game at the end of the year. FRA kind of looming there as well. We'll get to them here in a bit because they just keep on blowing out teams. But it's a really impressive win for BGA. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders right now. And they did this without their starting running back, who I believe was out. Caden Marable's just kind of tearing teams up at the moment.
Yeah, and this was a halftime score. This was the score at halftime, if I'm not mistaken, 34-7. So I think Coach Bentley realizes what's coming up next Thursday and was trying to keep his Wildcats as healthy as possible. But I was very impressed with their defensive performance in this game.
Apparently, this game was also penalty plagued, too. It did not end until after 10 o'clock, from what I understood. So, obviously, things that they want to clean up for next week on both sides, really. And Davidson Academy drops to 2-2, and unfortunately, a key region loss there for them. BGA on the right side of it in that region with that big CPA matchup looming on Thursday night.
When's the last time BGA was 4-0?
2018.
Yes, 2018. Yep. Yeah, they put that stat out there, so, easy to find. Dixon County goes on the road to Gallatin and gets a 10-7 win. The Cougars, a big one for them.
Massive for the Cougars.
Yeah. Jackson Stroop set the career passing record for Gallatin in this game, but that was about all that went right, as Dixon County had a game plan and stuck to it, which was basically keep Gallatin's green wave, tidal wave of an offense, hurricane strength down to a drizzle, keep those guys off the field. It's a very impressive defensive showing for Dixon County here.
Hard to say that Gallatin has a tidal wave of an offense right now with the way they've been playing. I mean, this is just disappointing starts to the year for a Green Wave team that I think a lot of us had really high expectations for.
And talking to Coach Michael Strapp last week at Mad Juliet, not making excuses for him, but they are pretty banged up here early on in the season. I know Jeremiah Williams was very limited against Mad Juliet, and he did not play last night on Thursday night. So, that's a big cog in that offense that we talk about.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. They've only scored once in the past 2 games, 1 touchdown in the past 2 games. So, they've definitely got some issues on the offensive side of the ball.
Team that doesn't have a lot of issues right now is DCA. They get a 35-0 win at Providence Christian to improve to 4-0.
Just keep on rolling. That offense is, when they get going, they're a different beast. And I mean, Mitchell Carey is having himself a great year, which is not unexpected. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up leading our area in passing yards by the end of the season.
Grayson Scragg is stepping up as a wideout. I think he had yards receiving on 3 catches, 2 of them touchdowns, something like that. Mr. Carey, all he does is score, right?
Camden County drops to 2-2 with a 28-12 loss to Forest. Unfortunately, it's the region opener too, which is kind of an important deal for them.
This Forest team's pretty good. It seems like every week we're seeing them beat up on one of our teams. I know week 1 against Watertown, but the Rockets can score.
Yep.
Friendship Christian at home takes care of Grace Christian 35-7. The Commanders back to 500.
Yeah, huge night for Carlando Barton. 4 touchdowns on the ground. Friendship a little slow out of the gates. I think it was 14-0 at halftime, but good bounce back for the Commanders.
Yeah, they held Grace to 14 yards total rushing, 138 yards total. So the defense definitely stepped up in this game.
Westmoreland rolls over Jackson County 51-0. The Eagles 3-1.
Yeah, not really surprised by the winning team, but very much surprised that it was as dominant early as it was. This Westmoreland football team has to start being recognized a little bit. Like they put the consensus on Westmoreland for the last forever, really. Great defense, can't score. They scored 42 last week against Heritage. They scored 51. They're putting up points like this, guys. They gotta start being talked about in 2A. So
that East Robertson matchup here in a few weeks is going to be huge.
As bad as the lopsided of the score was, if you watch the game, it could have been worse. They just absolutely dominated in all phases of the game.
Also dominant Macon County, 49-6 winners to Smith County. They bounced back from that Upperman loss to go to 3-1.
Yeah, that was mad. That was a mad Macon County team.
Smith County, we know they're rebuilding this year. They're very young. Macon County, we've said this could be their best team ever. So you're looking at two teams on opposite sides of the pendulum. Just an outstanding night for Macon County.
0-4 for Smith County. That's the first time since 2013. Now that team did turn it around and win its next 6 games and wound up finishing 6-5. So don't know if it's a similar path for the Owls yet, but we'll find out.
Well, they still got East Robertson, so I don't know if that's going to be the case this year or not. But everything they want is still right in front of them. They've not played a region game yet, so the Owls season is far from over for sure.
Overton gets a win over McGavock 22-14. The Bobcats are 2-2.
Yeah, good win for Overton. Next week you get Ravenwood, so congratulations.
Glencliff. It's Nolensville defeated Glencliff 38-0. I actually have that score wrong, so we're going to fix that here just real quick.
What?
Yeah, I actually had the score that flipped up, so we're going to fix that just real quick. 38-0. Nolensville over Glencliff. Sometimes
you had it flipped up. Just go ahead and tell them I screwed up again.
Actually, I put the score in, so that's on
did
me.
you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to claim the loss on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get you off the hook there for that one, Scott. Nolensville gets that win, important for region play, but they get a little bit more of a challenge next week. They'll play Franklin.
That's this Nolensville team
great
right now is Nolensville team right now is playing very well, and I know that Glencliff is down a little bit, but this Nolensville team is going to be a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, you said it, Chris. Huge game next week. Not for playoff purposes or anything, but you kind of find out where Nolensville is next week.
Yeah, they haven't played the hardest of schedules. I mean, they struggled against Rockville week 1. They beat up on some bad teams the last couple of weeks. Franklin's going to be a real test to just kind of see where this team is they still got Page and Centennial ahead on the schedule.
Yep. let's get into a little bit of highlights, Joe. Thursday night, we both made the trip over to Laverne to see Page's prolific defense, and it struck again.
Yeah, no, the Patriots are as good as advertised, folks. Clean new white uniforms this year. I really like the blue and red. Isaac Odie here breaking off a good little run here. He had every carry on Page's opening drive. Punches it in here for the first of the night. It's his first of 2 touchdowns. Again, he's only a freshman, as terrifying as that sounds. Mitchell Grandjean here with Caden Ackerman for the 22-yard score. That looked like it hurt quite a bit. Page's defense looks the part. They play the part. They're very, very good. Mitchell Grandjean to Caden Ackerman again. Second touchdown of the night between those two. This was the play of the night. Isaac Odie trucks the defender here, breaks loose, nice shiftiness, and then he's gone for the 52-yard touchdown strike. It's just that kind of night for the Patriots. They had no real issues. Brendan Ains, Wisconsin commit here, coming untouched. That's a Division I linebacker, folks. And then Mitchell Grandjean gets blasted here, but refs ruled he was across the line for 6. And then get the JV guys in at the end of the game. They connect on a touchdown here, and, Page does Page things. They roll.
I love that block on that run by Odie, the wide receiver block. Everybody getting into the play there.
Yeah, Ackerman had a really good game. He's the one that threw that block there. 2 touchdown receptions and that block. He was just solid.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw a little comparison out here. This Page team, we all love football, so we watch a lot of college football too. So this is a old school Big Ten football team.
Mm-hmm.
They are so good defensively, and they just want to run it down your mouth, throw it on offense. That's pretty much what they want to do. Yeah. And they're going to impose their will on teams whether they like it or not.
It is scary how quickly some of those guys got in the backfield on Thursday night against Laverne. Literally no time to throw. Because when you have basically are getting hit 2.5 seconds after the snap, that's rough. It's a rough way to go.
One thing I noticed, obviously we talk about the senior class, and for good reason. They're really good. But it was a lot of the juniors that stood out Thursday night. Mitchell Grandjean's only a junior. Ackerman's only a junior. Knight Wilson didn't have his best game, but he's only a junior. And then you get a freshman in Isaac Odie that comes in and looks like he's been playing high school football for 2 to 3 years. That's kind of a terrifying thought, because you wonder what Page is going to be after the likes of Brendan Ains, William Weebush, and Eric Hazard are gone. I think they're still going to be really good next year. But if these guys are coming along right now, that's a terrifying thought.
Yeah, really important, because it's an impressive senior class that's being set to graduate, and they're going to have to set the standard for the next kids up.
And Chris, I think you made a really good point. It's really important for Page to get out in front, and this defense allows that. But when they get up by a couple scores, those guys can pin their ears back and come. Mm-hmm. And when they do that, woe be unto you.
It's 4 straight shutouts for the Patriots. Who's going to be that team that breaks the streak?
It could potentially be Coffee County. Coffee County's played really well this year, and they typically play Page well. But if they get through Coffee County, we're looking at maybe Centennial, and that's later in the year. There's a real chance that these guys run the regular season without giving up a touchdown. And I think they're taking pride in that. Now, is it something that could maybe get to them a little bit? I think for most teams, yeah, but I think the seniors on this team won't let that happen.
As experienced as that group is, I tend to agree. I don't think that's going to be a big issue, because they've been so close to a state title. That's the only goal for them now.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping up with that defensive team, Mount Juliet, man, they've been really good defensively too. 44-0 over Warren County.
Yeah, they're good. God, they're good. I think they took what happened at the end of last year personally, and they've turned that into taking out some frustration on folks this year. Warren County is not very good this year. Obviously, they're 0-4, but Mount Juliet looks like the class of that region, with Green Hill very, very, very close behind.
Yeah, Mount Juliet, Tyler Travers only played the first half. He was 8 of 9, had 3 touchdowns out of those 8 passes. Miguel Hernandez, 3 sacks in the first half. This Mount Juliet defense, everybody talks about Page. We need to talk about Mount Juliet as well, in that when you start talking about really great defenses in the mid-state, because the Golden Bears have one.
Yep, they go to 4-0 and 2-0 in region play. More importantly, also 4-0 DeKalb County, 45-27 winners over Watertown on Thursday night.
We talk about Macon County, we talk about Upperman, but this DeKalb County team is absolutely putting points on the board. It's going to be real interesting to see how they fare with the 2 other teams in that region.
Watertown 0-4 with that loss, even though they did put up a pretty good offensive showing.
Yeah, Blake Waldorf, quarterback for the Purple Tigers, had a big night, over 300 yards again.
On to the Friday games. On to the Friday games. It was a matchup of 3-0 teams, but Oakland gets the better of Antioch 41-14.
This one went about how we thought it would, right? Like, Antioch's better than they were last year. Oakland could potentially be better than they were last year, the way they're playing right now. Antioch, it's hard to cover 49 points, and Oakland just is a different beast right now. It's a really good learning experience for the Bears, who they're going to have a great year regardless of this result. They'll learn from it, but Oakland's still proving that they are the class of 6A here in the mid-state.
We talked about Antioch and still being a young up-and-coming team. Turnovers, miscues cost them. Those are the kind of things you get with younger teams, or teams that aren't as new to, or aren't as used to the scrutiny of being a really good team. Like Oakland is very disciplined. And TT Hill, was 65-yard punt return. They had multiple fumbles, things of those things. You can't give those up to a team like Oakland. It will absolutely cost you.
Baylor marches into the mid-state and takes care of Lipscomb Academy 37-7. Just we kind of thought that Baylor would be that impressive, and they were.
They put up 37 points on a really good Lipscomb Academy defense. The Red Raiders are, they're good. They're very good. They got all the pieces. They're on a mission.
If they weren't already in Chattanooga, you could probably go ahead and make your reservations, but they don't have to.
They don't have to travel far.
Yeah, they can almost walk. Key region game for Beach and Portland, then it goes the way of the Buccaneers, 35-13.
Yeah, Portland jumped out to a 7-0 win or 7-0 lead in this game, and then Beach just kind of took control. They returned the kickoff, and I think they scored 35 straight. So really good showing for the Buccaneers, who have kind of been anemic on offense the last couple of weeks, and they got going this week, and that's what really matters.
Yeah, key moment in the game. Beach was up 14-7 in the second quarter. Portland was driving. Wound up having a turnover on downs inside the Beach 25. They held Beach. Beach punted it back to them, and on the first play, it was an interception return inside the 5 for Beach that resulted in a touchdown to make it 21-7. After that, it was all Buccaneers.
Yeah, that was Chilton. Swafford returned that pick, and then he turns around and he gets the touchdown. Later on, Cade Powell goes 75 yards with a fake punt and sets up his short rushing touchdown. So, again, Portland's mistakes on special teams, mistakes and turnovers. You can't do that against a team like Beach. They will absolutely make you pay.
Portland's going to have some opportunities, though, in this region, because the other teams besides Beach haven't necessarily shown a whole lot.
Yeah, we've said 1 through really, we've pretty much all year kind of, I know Beach has struggled a little bit on offense, but they're still probably the one there. And then everybody else is right there together.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of one of those teams in that region, Henry County falls to Brentwood 7-6.
Yeah, Tyson Moody was not happy with how this game went. Thought Brentwood should have won by much more. But they got the win. That's what really matters. Going to Henry County is not easy. But yeah, we'll see. It's a tough road trip.
It is. Henry County, if you've never been, it's a great venue to watch a game if you don't mind driving an hour and a half, 2 hours, or 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending on where you're coming from. Great place to watch a ball game, and their defense is no slouch. And we've known this Brentwood team is really good on defense, but their offense is still coming together.
Hillsboro knocks off Cane Ridge 28-6. Burrow's now 2-2.
Yeah, good win for the Burrows. 2-2 on the year. I know they have some losses that they are not happy about, but Cane Ridge just really, really rebuilding at this point. It's an uphill climb for the Ravens.
White House Heritage, a bounce back win for them, 42-6 over Cheatham County.
Yeah, big night for Xavier Murray. First of all, White House Heritage scores on 5 of 6 offensive possessions, so Cheatham didn't have a whole lot for them. Xavier Murray, 201 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, most of them to Eric Lopez, who had 4 touchdowns receiving on the night. So also have to mention that Springer, the corner, 2 picks, including a 45-yard return for touchdown. Just dominant in all phases of the game for White House.
Eagleville gets a key region win over Collinwood, 12-7. Eagles now 2-2, but that 1-1 mark in the region, that's good for them.
It's a weird region. There's no dominant team, so a win here is big for the Eagles. They needed this. They tested Moore County last week, came up just short, but they're still right in the mix for the 1 seed in that region just because it's so open.
Yeah, this one was really tight at the end. Collinwood had the ball inside the 10. Had 4 shots at it, and the Eagleville defense turned them away, then was able to run out the clock. So it was really, really close. One of the kids, Marshall Spann from Eagleville, recorded 16 tackles in this game, 2 for loss.
Lebanon falls to Cookeville 27-0. Cookeville now 4-0 and looking like a legit contender in that region.
Yeah, the top 3 teams in this region are all really stout defensively with Mount Juliet, Cookeville, and Green Hill. Lebanon just got to figure out something offensively. Chris, you and I saw it week 1 against Antioch. They're just not there yet, and they got another huge test next week against a Green Hill defense that's just kind of flying high at the moment.
Yep.
358 total yards of offense for the Cavaliers. They were just, I think the quarterback had almost 200 yards rushing. Running back had 111 yards rushing. Lebanon with 256 yards of total offense, but just never could get it across the line. They never could punch it in and finish. And they're going to have to. I know that's something that that they're working on. They've got to find a way, and really quick.
A game that we thought would be close was anything but. CPA goes to NBA and wins 34-6.
Yeah, this was never close at all. Ross Patterson had himself maybe his best night as a high school starting running back. He went off. I think he had well over 150 yards rushing. Dominant defensive performance by the Lions, and they really needed this sort of showing as they look forward to the highest scoring team probably they'll face all year in BGA. So that game is huge, and I think both teams enter this matchup off with some major momentum after what happened this last week.
Yeah, Ross Patterson, 20 carries, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Ensford's also flying high, 35-0 over Knox Catholic, and Tigers. That defense looks legit too.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, we've said it, and this just goes on to confirm what we've said. Ainsworth is probably the Middle Tennessee area's best bet in D2 AAA.
Potentially, there's another team. We'll get to them here in a bit that got some revenge last night. That's looking pretty good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, if you want to go back and watch this game, you're going to see some defense. Knox Catholic's quarterback, he was harassed all night. Ainsworth just looked far and away the better team here.
Kind of a score fest between Cornersville and Easel Harding, but the Bulldogs get the better of the Eagles 40-26. Easel Harding falls to 1-3 with that loss. Fairview falls at Richland 21-17. The Yellow Jackets, tough loss for these guys.
They're such a confusing team. Like it makes it's so weird to me. Christine and I kind of talked about this last night. You would think Fairview, with everything they had coming back, and they got a great running back, Murray back. It just, I don't know. They lose games you don't think they should lose. Richland having a pretty good season by all standards. Honestly, this is a team that struggles historically, and they're playing well this year. But Fairview's a weird team to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Joe, you mentioned some revenge, and BA got it. I've seen a baseball score like this once, but 31-2 over Father Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, what was the issue for BA last year? Obviously, the offensive line. Their defense couldn't stop anything. That defense is really good right now, guys. I know they've beaten some teams that not really great offensively, but if you get that sort of production from your defense, you give George McIntyre time to throw the ball, BA is going to be significantly better than what they have been the last couple of years. And the Eagles are looking like it's Brentwood Academy and Innsworth right now that look like the two teams who could come out of the mid-state and really contend with those Chattanooga teams.
Yeah, I think you're right on the nose there. Their defensive line play is actually much better this year. They held Father Ryan to 7 first downs and 3 of 19 on third down attempts. That's massive. 157 yards total offense, measly 2 points. George, again, very efficient, 6 of 24 for 243 and 2 scores.
Let's pull some more highlights, and this time we're going to go down to Thompson Station for this bunch with Independence hosting Franklin, a key region game in 6-6A. And the winner of this game's halfway to the playoffs. The loser pretty much needs help. After an early Indy fumble, Sean Gaka with his 1-yard touchdown run for Franklin. They were up 7-0. On to the second quarter, Brewer Wilson with the deep ball, finding Lucas Young in stride. 59 yards later, Franklin up 14-0. Let's take it on to the third quarter, and Indy quarterback Matthew Horner is going to use his legs here in just a second, getting the Eagles into scoring range, knocked out at the 1. One play later, he's going to come in here and finish this drive off out of the pistol. Pretty much right at the gut into the end zone. They cut the Franklin lead to 14-7. The Admirals with a quick response, though. It didn't take long for them to get back up 21-7 because Brewer Wilson, again, the quick throw to Luke Thompson. He's going to find a seam, and he's off to the races. Down the sidelines, 71 yards for the Admirals to take that 14-point lead back. Now, Indy responded immediately. I don't have video of this, but Calvin Wall had a 95-yard kickoff return on the ensuing kickoff to get the Eagles back within 21-14. But here's the game's defining play. Brewer Wilson escaping a sack here, rolling out and finding Lucas Young all by himself. This is a 65-yard touchdown. Or was it? It was ruled that he was over the line of scrimmage when he threw it, so there was no touchdown. You can see the coaches reacting here, but the officials conferenced and then eventually overturned it. It was a touchdown, and here Luke Thompson gets the flip pass for a score 5 yards out, and Franklin takes care of Independence 35-14. Big win for the Admirals. They have matched their win total from the past 3 seasons, or they're one win away from matching their win total for the last 3 seasons. They've already matched last year's total.
Before we get to a breakdown of this game, how freaking tall is Independence's quarterback?
He's quite tall.
He looked huge.
He's quite tall. He gets
Good
up
Lord. No, what a win for Franklin. Also, when's the last time you saw the officials overturn a touchdown call?
I've never seen it.
In high school, that doesn't happen. That's weird. But from what it looked like, Chris, just from your viewing, Franklin looked dominant all night. Indy still trying to figure out things, and that's not really a good thing to do in this region.
Yeah.
But, hey, I think we said at the beginning of the year we thought Franklin was a playoff team. I think this win solidifies that. And I think that game against Brentwood and heck, even Ravenwood in a couple of weeks, they could contend with those teams. They're a completely different team.
Yeah, I think they've kind of at least put themselves in that 3 spot, at least for right now. And we'll see about that. Let's go back to that play with Brewer Wilson, though, with the overturned call. The explanation that I got from Josh Atkins was that the head referee threw the initial flag, but might have been out of position. When they talked about it, the line judge came in and overruled him and said, I have a better view, and he was good when he threw it. So that's what – and Josh Atkins called timeout for them to give one more time to talk about it.
I bet Coach Stidham was not happy.
Yeah, I would have picked up 15 if I was Coach Stidham.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I might have picked up 15 if I was Coach Atkins too, because if the head official threw that flag, there's no way he's got an angle on that to see if he was past the line of scrimmage or not. So
that's a lose-lose situation for the refs there.
Yeah. There were some hats that were flying on that Franklin sideline for sure once that flag came out. But nonetheless, big win for Franklin, and it's a huge step toward a playoff spot that they could lock up here very, very soon. Riverdale with a bounce-back win after that loss at Beach last week. They win 24-7 over Germantown.
Yeah, another one of those teams that's sort of somewhat a head-scratcher. You know, their only loss to this point is in a monsoon against Beach. So this Riverdale team and even Blackman in that region, both those teams are – that matchup's looking very, very good.
Look, I'm not saying they're going to make excuses for that loss last week, but I am 95% sure that if that wasn't a monsoon, Riverdale wins. Sorry, Matt. I just think they look really good. And this Riverdale team is really good. I think the weather really played a factor in that game. If they played again, I would take Riverdale again. So that's a good win over a good Germantown team that tested the defending state champions recently. So that's big for the Warriors.
Yeah, DJ Taylor, very good night, 2 touchdowns. Malachi Tellin, he threw for 2. 24 straight points after Germantown jumps out to a 7-0 lead. This Riverdale team is playing very well right now.
Moving on, FRA wins 55-8 over Goodpasture. The Panthers off to 4-0 start.
Hey, let's all do Justin Geisinger a favor and just not say nothing about that FRA, because that's what he's sitting there hoping anyway. This team, Joe, you said it. I mean, they have beat everybody soundly to this point, and nobody is talking about them.
That includes Franklin. I mean, they had no issues in that Franklin game, and Franklin's not a bad team. So big one against East National in 2 weeks. So we'll really see how good they are. And I mean, they're flying under the radar, and I'm sure they love it.
Their offensive line is doing a tremendous job. Cam Glenn in this game, 7 carries, 177 yards, and 3 scores.
Yeah, I actually got to see the lights still on at FRA when I was headed back to the house last night after coming from Franklin. And it's something to see those lights on at 10:30 at night on top of that hill. There's no view like it in the Mid-State, and going to try to get up there very, very soon to catch one up there. Green Hill takes care of Wilson Central 36-0. The Hawks now 4-0.
Yeah, this was a motivated Green Hill team. There had been a lot of trash talk between the two sides heading into this game. Obviously, it's a big rivalry game. Green Hill's defense is the story of the season so far. Cannon Burrows is having himself a great year, running and throwing the ball. But the Hawks defense, which was kind of a question mark going into the year, through 4 weeks, they've only given up 7 points. They're good. They're very good.
Well, and they've had some injuries, which means they've had to move some personnel around. They moved Nick Owens out to wide receiver last night, and they moved sophomore Zach Cartwright into starting running back. Cartwright rushes for 3 TDs in this game.
Yeah, I just, Joe, you've mentioned it a couple times on Twitter, but I just want to know, between Green Hill and Mount Juliet and Page, can we all come together and collectively open a donut shop? Because that's all they're putting up this year.
Cam, I appreciate that reference. That's nice.
Well, it is morning. Donuts are on the menu.
Hey, some coffee would be good too.
21 combined points given up between those 3 schools. They've scored collectively 422 points. That's absurd.
That's a lot to not much.
10 shutouts between them.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
This wasn't quite a shutout in this one, but Marshall County rolls over Greenbrier 59-6.
Marshall County, good at football.
Yeah, and Greenbrier's just in a bad spot at the moment. Huge game next week against White County in what looks like could be for a top 2 spot in that region. White House, sorry, not White County. It's early.
Fair enough. You corrected it. So we're
White
all good.
White County is good, just not in our coverage area.
And not in this region, definitely. Marshall County, though, 4-0 with that being matchup against White House coming next week. Harpeth falls at Mount Pleasant 15-7. The Indians now 1-3. Mount Pleasant's 4-0.
Defense.
Yeah, Kid Hartsfield's got something brewing down there.
Mm-hmm. Clarksville also 4-0 again. They win over Hopkinsville, Kentucky's Wildcats 35-14.
Yeah, not a whole lot different out of Clarksville. They spread the love around. Several running. Their running backs are. They'll, if one doesn't beat you, another one will. Defensively, they were strong. It's when they start playing a little bit better class of a team, we're going to find out exactly who these Wildcats are.
Hunters Lane gave Hendersonville some trouble last night, but the Commandos eventually pulled away 47-28.
A lot of defensive questions for Hendersonville at the moment. They gave up a ton of points to Brentwood last week, and Hunters Lane, great showing for them to put up 28. But yeah, Commandos need to figure out their defense.
Yeah, two standout running backs here. Cooper Jordan for Hendersonville, 170 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. But get this, Isaiah McGill, Hunters Lane, 29 carries, 228 yards, and 2 scores.
That's some impressive offensive numbers, but Hunters Lane eventually falls to 1-3 and 0-1 in region play. Centennial dominant 44-0 over Lawson.
I said on the show I didn't see this as a 35-0 game. I thought Lawson had taken that next step forward, and boy, was I wrong. I still think Lawson's good, but I think Centennial's showing a lot of people that they are still very much in contention to compete with Page. We'll see if that happens, but Jesus.
You lose a guy like Dominic Reed that all of us believe he should have been a Mr. Football finalist. He should have won it. But you lose a guy like that, and this is what they've done early in the season is a testament to Coach Stewart. We knew that he was a great football coach, but their only loss to this point is a one point loss to Franklin, correct? Off of a dropped extra point fire play.
Yep.
Like Centennial is one of the, we talked about FRA being slept on. Centennial is a team that's been slept on as well.
Chris, you said you'd never seen a call turned over, and I believe it was this game. I actually saw a touchdown taken off the board, overturned in this game. It was ruled a catch, and then somebody else came over after discussion, ruled it wasn't a catch, and I think there were definitely some hats flying there too. So, there must have been a third one out there because it's always been threes, right?
Something like that. That's what. Yeah, I don't know. Gordonsville didn't need a lot of threes. They got a lot of sixes. 48-14 over Joe Burns.
Oh, nice.
They got a huge one against DeKalb County, like we talked about next week. But Gordonsville is very much looking the part that we thought they might this year.
Yep, the Tigers 4-0. Joe Burns falls to 1-3. Only 4 teams in that region, so for playoff position, and not playoff spots. So,
right,
big difference there. But Gordonsville's in the right direction for sure. Kirkwood 34-0 over Northeast, and the Cobras now 4-0 themselves.
Cobra Kai, big game against Dixon County next week. That's huge. We talk about Rossview and Clarksville as the top 2 teams in this region. But hey, Kirkwood's like, don't forget about us.
I'm pretty sure that the Kirkwood team opened the same way last year, and then lost to Dixon County. Would not be surprised at all if when they come in for film, more than likely on Sunday, most schools do film on Sunday afternoons. If Coach Watson don't show them some of that game from last year,
they might just rewatch the whole game.
They might,
yeah.
This Kirkwood team's only allowed 13 points on the season defensive. That's an improvement. But granted, we're going to find out the real test next week when they play a defensive team like Dixon County.
East Nashville keeps rolling 49-7 over Maplewood.
Yeah. Battle of the East Side. East Nashville comes out on top, beating another team in a higher classification. KJ Johnson had 2 touchdowns at the half, banged up his ankle a little bit. He should be okay, though, it sounds like. But yeah, East Nashville's just really good at the game of football, guys, and they should. I guess they win again next week, and that FRA game's looking quite good.
Yeah, East Nashville doing East Nashville things.
Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering goes on the road to Springfield.
Wait, hold on. Looks like East Nashville did not actually give up points last night, guys. According to comments, which I actually saw that too. I didn't think they gave up any points to Maplewood.
Okay.
That was the score that was on TWSAA at the time. So
yep. So whoever reported that was lying.
They're wrong, liars.
Yep. We don't like that.
I double checked those.
That's supposed to be official. So
yeah,
somebody messed up there. Anyway, moving on. Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering goes on the road to Springfield, beats Innovation Academy 56-0. The Sentinels in their first 11-man year just still taking their lumps, but I gotta say, they do play their games at Boy Smith Field, the old field there in Springfield in the middle of town, and that is still one of the best places to take a game in if you ever get a chance to get over there and watch one. It's a really strong venue.
Yeah.
Creekwood 27, Montgomery Central 7. The Red Hawks now.
I think that's backwards. I think they're 4-0.
They are 4-0,
yeah,
and that's a bad bottom line.
Yep, a very bad.
Okay, so right after I get on somebody for screwing up, I screw up. Okay.
Yep, fair enough, Scott.
Fair enough.
We'll keep going.
Yeah,
Middle Tennessee Christian 27, Clarksville Academy 7.
Yeah, good bounce back couple weeks for the Cougars. Got a young team replacing a lot of seniors off that state championship team from last year. Good bounce back before they get into region play.
Yeah, they took a couple of lumps to open up the season, but they've bounced back in a big way. Really good win here, and we'll see just what they have when it comes to region play.
Yeah, allowed only 58 yards on passing. They had a couple of sacks, 366 yards rushing. So, MTCS is, they're young, but it looks like they're getting back into the swing.
Rossview, no trouble with Northwest, 44-6. Hawks now 4-0.
And that is the first time in the program's history that they've been 4-0. They and their defense is only allowing 6.8 points per game from opposing offenses. Cole Phillips, another big night, 3 touchdowns last night.
Moving on, Pearl Cone now 2-2. They've won 2 straight after that 0-2 start, 49-8 over Pure Youth Academy.
Yeah, Javion Kennard with another 200-yard night, and Pearl's just kind of figured out its groove now, which is a terrifying thought.
It's all region games from here, though. That's the end of their non-region schedule. Mount Juliet Christian, 34-0 over Red Bowling Springs.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. And went back and double checked that one from the video. So, did not see that coming. These Saints are, 2-2, playing well.
One game that did not get played. Republic and Charleston County ended up being canceled. Republic did not have enough players to make this game happen. So Charleston County, Cam, sorry, they had a shot to win this one, but
Well, I mean,
this is Cam's fault,
right? It's a week of rest. It's an extra bye week before we start region play next week against Smith County, another team that's really young and down to their standards. So good chance to start getting early prep for next week in games that really matter.
Siegel on the road gets shut out at Coffee County 21-0.
Yeah, not really surprised by who won in this one as I picked Coffee County, but surprised they blanked Siegel.
Yeah, that was kind of a shocker. I mean, that's a good win, and they need that going into Page next week. So
Ravenwood, no trouble with Smyrna 42-9. The Raptors come out there to a 4-0 mark.
Yeah, they bounced back from kind of struggling last week against Blackman, which is actually looking like a better win now since Blackman's kind of figured things out. But yeah, Ravenwood about to get in the meat of their region schedule, and we'll just find out how good this is.
Maverick Chance, a really good game for Ravenwood last night.
Yep, Springfield, no problem with Station Camp, 40-14.
I tell you, I'm impressed with this Springfield. I don't know when the last time I saw a Springfield team that really offensively has the kind of output that they're having right now.
Go ahead, Scott.
I was just saying they're throwing the ball well. They put up 21 on Henry County in a loss last week.
22.
This is a team that only allowed 7 to Brentwood. Springfield's offense, this team is coming along as a young team quicker than I think a lot of people anticipated.
Yeah, this Springfield team's not getting the recognition that they deserve either. 2-2, their 2 losses, 3 points to Clarksville, 1 point to Henry County.
Yeah, Station Camp falls to 0-4, and a team that we thought that might be, looking for a playoff spot in their region, all of a sudden's got things to figure out.
Yeah, the city of Gallatin's got some. They've got some issues.
Stewart's Creek goes on the road to Rockville and wins 27-7.
Yeah, and this one honestly could have been worse. I think Rockville stopped Stewart's Creek twice inside the 5.
Mm-hmm. Certainly did. But Keelan Harris scored 2 in the third quarter. I think they scored 21 in the third quarter to really kind of get this game out of reach.
That Stewart's Creek Antioch matchup's looking real nice.
Yeah, that could be for the region title. I mean, it's just the way things are.
Definitely could.
Yep. Liberty Creek at home, big winners over Stratford, 41-6.
Yeah, I mean, Liberty Creek looking like solidly number 2 in this region right now. I believe they got East Nashville next week, guys. So, I mean, that's essentially for the region title. So, great win for the Wolves, and Stratford just still kind of reeling.
Just mentioned Blackman. They won 35-0 over Summit, and the Blaze are starting to pick up some momentum.
Picking up momentum, and they get to host Oakland next week.
Yeah, 28 points in the second quarter. They were sparked by a 55-yard punt return by Jaden Guy. Meanwhile, Summit just victim of their own errors. They lost 2 fumbles, had way too many penalties, and offensively, they just can't seem to get anything on the scoreboard.
East Robertson, no problem with Sycamore, 40-7, in a game that was actually moved to Thursday and then moved back to Friday.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Cam and I were originally going to go Thursday, and then it got moved back. So that's a statement win for the Indians, who struggled last week against Monterey. The all-around great performance from all their guys. Zach Groves had a big game in this one. Deep dive episode on him is out now on our YouTube channel, so go check that out. But yeah, the Indians still look very good. They just had some struggles last week.
Yep.
Yeah, we saw the scheme change, right? They're throwing the ball a lot more. Scott, I'm sure you got numbers on Cason Young, sophomore quarterback for the Indians, that is finding his footing.
Yep, 16 of 21 for 301 and 3 touchdowns. He ran for 39 and another.
JP2 had some struggles at Webb School, but the Knights do get their first win of the year, 33-27.
Big night for Bo Bailey here. 35 rushes, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns. As the Knights really put the effort out there and knock down that Webb School.
Another note on Bo Bailey, he did that with one contact lens. He lost the lens early in that game and then had to play with kind of limited vision the rest of the night. Didn't matter.
We were wondering who was going to replace Elijah Robb on this offense, and they've got their guy. Just
coaches all over the mid-state now removing one contact for running backs.
West Creek goes to Kenwood and wins 13-6 to improve to 2-2 in the year.
Yeah, this is a game we were looking for the score of. Good win for West Creek.
Yep. Final game to talk about. We've got highlights with it too. Joe, you were at Whites Creek against White House in this one.
Yeah, missed the first touchdown. Michael Albin broke off a long touchdown run to put White House up. Whites Creek here, Dion Barnes. Big hit here, called for a penalty. I did not agree with it whatsoever. White House scoring here on the pass from Easton Briggs to Kenny Holt. Wouldn't be the last time they do that. Big run here for, I think it was Jaquez Covington here, who breaks it off for long run here. Gets Whites Creek in a great position to score. They had scored on a kickoff return here. Dion Barnes here to Jordan McKinley. They convert the 2-point conversion, make it 14-14 right before the half. However, White House would answer. Michael Albin, who had himself a night, scores here right before the half to put the Blue Devils up 20-14 at the half. Albin again breaks off a long run here. They would score on the very next play. Easton punches it in from a yard out. Took the refs forever to decide. Good Lord. It took them forever to decide if that was a touchdown or not. Dion Barnes here getting rushed by the guy that Cam said would rush him. He had a big night. That was I forgot his name.
Dawson Carson.
Good Lord.
And look at him right there running downfield, getting the block. Goodness gracious. I love to see linemen run downfield like that.
Reed Aguilar with the run here. Fumble here, recovered by guess who? Michael Albin. It was just that sort of night for them, man. They just couldn't be stopped. And then Kenny Holt with another reception there. White House would have a touchdown run here at the end. Whites Creek would score one more time, but White House scored 35 straight. They scored 35 straight after the game was tied and look very much the part. They look, Cam, you and I saw it week 1 against Portland. If they get this going. If they beat Marshall County next week, they solidified themselves at this 2 spot in that region, in my opinion.
It has bonus points to White House for running out of the smokestack and scoring out of it.
Yep. I'll say this about Whites Creek though. Dion Barnes looks the part. He's just young. He's a freshman. A lot of their standout guys are very young. So in a year or two, Whites Creek very much could be flipping this sort of thing around. They're just not quite there yet, which is not unexpected with a group as young as they have. White House, a very experienced group that took some lumps last year. They're realistically, they should be 4-0 right now, if we're being quite frank. They had that game against Portland, potentially won if they just do a couple things different. But White House looks good. That game next week against Marshall County is a big one.
That is all the scores for week number 4. Guys, one more final thought before we get out of here. Who impressed you the most out of last night and Thursday night?
I'll go with the team I saw last night. White House looks very good. I've seen them twice this year. Week 1, there's not a whole lot you can take away from week 1 with a lot of teams because it's the first week of the year. They went to a very pumped up Whites Creek team. They went into the Cobra Den, which is a great nickname, by the way. Never heard of a Cobra Den before, but that thing exists. And they put up a ton of yards. So we'll see. And then Page obviously is just Page. They're good.
Cam, Scott.
I was going to let Cam have it first, but just because I was having trouble picking between two. Gosh, let me just say that probably Innsworth. We knew they were good, but to go into to Knox Catholic and blank them there at home, and to play the defense that they were playing. Taylor Hasselbeck looked good throwing the ball. Their running game was on point. I think this team gets better every week. and they play much better as their offense continues to improve. As they play much better on offense, it's going to allow their defense to play looser and to be able to come after quarterbacks, and they're only going to get better. Yeah, that team is scary good.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the teams in our area, I thought the most impressive performance of the night was CPA. That was a game that a lot of us had them winning, but had them winning by a single score. And they dominated from the jump. I mean, that game, we were talking before the area, and I really think that they could have hung 50 on NBA if they wanted to. But of course, Coach Engel Martin having a lot of class and being an NBA graduate was not going to do that to his alma mater. Sets up another really impressive performance from BGA Thursday night. Guys, that's going to be a slobber knocker. Like, that's going to be a great football game. And, we talk about matchups where they may play again. That's another matchup where they may play again come postseason time. So kind of jealous you guys get to cover that one.
Yeah, we mentioned Brentwood Academy and their defense and how they performed the first 4 weeks. And the level of difficulty is going to increase for them, but they're miles ahead of where they were this time last year. And that's a big, big step for them in Paul Wade's first year with the Eagles. So that's going to get the nod for my kind of most impressive team of the night.
Wade effect.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, week 4's in the books. We're almost a third of the way through the entire season. I don't like to call it the halfway point because the playoffs are always included in that. So
playoffs are their own season.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about being a third of the way through, guys. We booked our Chattanooga trip this week. So, I mean, it's.
Yep, and Cam, you're sleeping on the outside on the porch.
That's right.
Hey, I got you swing. We got you a swinging chair.
Yeah, it swings and everything. So, all right, we're done here with the 615 Prep Scoreboard. Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday morning. Go out and enjoy it. A lot of football to take in this weekend, and we'll talk to you Wednesday night at 7 o'clock on 615 Preps Live with get ready for week number 5, which has a lot in store for us. So make sure you join us here, and we'll see you then.